Hi friends, welcome back and thank you so much for being here. Today's video is going to be a casual stationery chat. I recently finished writing in a notebook that I had been using for the last few months as a personal diary, and I thought it would be fun to share my thoughts and experiences using this notebook now that I'm finished it. I'll start by sharing some first impressions footage that I filmed back in April when I got the notebook, and then spend some time discussing the specs of the notebook, as well as what I liked and disliked about it. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please stay tuned and enjoy. So I recently filled up this entire book that I've been using for the last 3 years or so. I've always had a written journal where I don't worry too much about decorating or drawing. I just use it as a stream of consciousness writing tool. So about 2 days ago, I finished it. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to decide if I wanted to use this one again or if I wanted to try something new. So with that, I took myself to Wonder Pens, which is a local store in Toronto. They have awesome stationery, and I decided to go in there and browse and see if there was anything there that might be something that I could see myself using as a journal for the next few years. After browsing around the store, I came across this notebook, and what I really liked about it is the fact that it fits. This is my regular traveler's notebook. It actually fits. They were saying that it fits inside, so you can see that it could replace the standard inserts. So I liked the spacing between just the line spacing, I guess. If it were up to me, I would have preferred for there to be an option of just like lined paper instead of grid, but I would choose grid over a dot grid because I think just having that line makes it easier for me to write. So I loved that it was the right size and it's nice and thick, lays relatively flat, I suppose, when I'm writing. And I feel like I'll get at least a year or two of writing in this. So it was $30 Canadian, and the brand is Kunisawa. It came in a few different colors. I think like a navy blue, this color, and like a lighter brown. I really like the inside. Each of them also had a different color inside. I like the little saying, and I am really excited to start using this. So I'm gonna try putting it, let's see. Okay, so I have my blue traveler's notebook, and we're gonna try this out. It says the motif of the Kunisawa brand logo is based on the mythical Japanese three-legged crow called Yatagarasu, due to using a golden luminance to guide Emperor Jimmu on his journey through the dark roads of Kumano. Yatagarasu is celebrated as the god of guidance. The 3 legs represent heaven, earth, and humanity, indicating that all 3 are brothers born of the same sun. We use Yatagarasu as a symbol of casting a bright light on the future and inspiring the world. I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this plastic cover. And it kind of has like almost like a weathered leather feel to it, which is really nice. So, just gonna see. Maybe we'll find the middle. So cute. So, see, it's the book. I love it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to write in this. I thought it would be fun to wrap up my time with this book by going over a few points of this notebook before I archive this away. So as a reminder, this is the main style of book that I had been using for the last few years. So this one, actually, now that I'm looking at it, is a little bit thinner. I'm not sure what the size would be. And then I moved into this one for another couple of years. This one was a Moleskine. This one was, I don't know, I can't remember. I think I got this at a local bookstore. And then this one was my Leuchtturm. Something that I really loved about this book was how thin the pages were and how satisfying it was to flip through the pages. And so when I was looking for a new diary, I would have honestly just repurchased another one of these books. But because I had gotten into fountain pens, I had noticed that they didn't seem to work as well with this paper, which is what kind of got me exploring other options. So when I went to Wonder Pens back in April, I didn't yet know about what I was going to get myself into with the world of paper. But I just browsed the store and kind of fell in love with the feel of this book. So that led me to picking up this book, and the fact that it fit into a traveler's notebook was such a bonus. A couple of specs, so I've got some notes here. So this book is 192 pages. It's graph paper. It's a 5mm grid. Yeah, it's a 5mm grid. The pages are cream. So I have filled this up now, but I will show you. This is the one page that I guess I'm kind of comfortable sharing. So this is me just testing out different inks. I don't own bottles of all of these. There's many of these are actually just samples. So you can see here, I've got a couple of comparisons. So here is what it looks like compared to a piece of white copy paper. And I thought it'd be fun to compare it to some other familiar notebooks. So this is how it compares to a Traveler's Notebook dot grid. So you can see the differences there. And then this is how it compares to the Hobonichi Cousin. So you can see here, this is like white and this is the cream. And then the last one that I thought would be fun to compare is a Weeks. So this is considered cream paper. This is probably the most comparable out of all. And I'll just show you there. Just for fun, I can also show you how the ink looks on different paper. So I'm definitely not like a systematic ink swatch person. I don't really have a system set up just yet. Basically, when I've inked up a new ink into one of my pens, I will try now to swatch it in each of my different notebooks just to see how it looks, because I realize that it does show up differently on different types of paper. Sometimes I have it inked up and that's where that's coming from, and then sometimes I have just samples, so I use a paintbrush. And it was actually really interesting to see how these colors showed up in different pages. So I'll show you for the Cousin. So for example, these are the same colors, and you can see that they're looking quite, I don't know if you can see, but they look pretty different. I noticed it a lot in the browns. So for example, this is the J. Urban Le Detail, and then here it is in the Cousin. It's a dark day today, I'm sorry, so it might be kind of hard to see, but what I noticed is that on the Cousin, the ink was a lot more, I don't know, I don't really know how to describe the properties too well, but you could just see more dimension, which I thought was really exciting. And I think I did a few in my Weeks as well. Yeah, not too many. Yeah, I didn't do too many, but here, for example, here's a Pilot Irishizuku Asagao, which is one of my favorite blues at the moment. I only have a sample and I'm seriously considering getting a full bottle, but I want to go through the rest of my samples first. But anyway, so that's what it looks like on the Weeks. This is what it looks like in this Kunisawa book here. And then this is what it looks like in one of my pens. It's actually lovely, lovely to write with. I can't wait to try it in my Vanishing Point. So just a comparison there. And then that same color looks like this here. So I thought that was really interesting. It's definitely more of a cream paper. And I liked it, actually. I found that I really enjoyed writing with brown ink in this book. And I think I'm enjoying writing in blue ink in this book. Just some early observations. And then green really, especially this Peter Moss color and this Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss color, and then this Sailor Shikiori Rikyucha. This one was really dull in this book, and then it really came alive in these two books. So yeah, some early ink thoughts, I guess. And what else? So this is around an 80 GSM paper. I didn't see anything in the product description on some of the retailers like Wonder Pens, but I did a little bit more digging online and found some people say that it was 81.4 GSM. So it's definitely like a thicker paper, which is good for some people. It definitely feels closer to like the Midori Traveler's Notebook paper than it does to the Hobonichi. It fits really nicely in a Traveler's Notebook standard. I did just put like a string in the middle of this book, and so I was a bit worried about damage. There was a little bit of damage on the spine here, and when the string was in, it was a little more pronounced. But overall, I would say it's not too bad. Like, it was something that I worried about, and I know that for other books, you can get a clear cover and put the string in between the cover and the book. And so I think if I were to continue using a book like this as a diary, that's what I would prefer to do. But I didn't really look into getting a clear cover for this because I was realizing quickly that I was getting through it a lot faster than I initially thought. So given my history of my other journals being with me for a couple of years, I thought I was going to use this book for a couple of years, but as you can see, it's actually quite skinny compared to this book. I started this book in my first entry was April 19th, and my last entry was September 11th, and that was with taking quite a few pauses. I think I knew I was coming to an end with this book in early September, so I procrastinated a little bit on those final pages because I normally have more time with my personal journals, so I was sad to say goodbye to this one. A lot has happened in the last few months. But yeah, it's time to say goodbye. So overall, in terms of my likes, I liked that the grid wasn't too dark, so it wasn't distracting. You can see here it's very light. I really liked that it was a sturdy book. Honestly, I don't even think you really needed a cover, but because I thought I was going to use this for a few years and I wanted to preserve this really beautiful, I'm not even sure what it is. It's like a soft cardboard. I don't know. I actually bought like a protector inside my Traveler's Notebook, like an insert, and then I used that to avoid getting any kind of color transfer on here. I really loved that it fit into my TN. So not only did I get to enjoy using my Olive Traveler Standard Notebook, but it just fit so wonderfly. And I thought it looked so beautiful with the olive. It was a joy to pull this out and use. And I really loved the cream paper. In terms of dislikes, I realized as I wrote in this that I actually preferred thinner paper because I really missed the texture of my previous book. And even though I had tested out some of my fountain pens in here and I just felt like it was feathering too much, that's honestly what kind of led me to discovering Hobonichi. So as I was doing more research and I was realizing I was getting through this book much quicker than I thought I would, I started panicking a little and I started looking at alternatives for what would happen when I was finished this book. And that's kind of where I fell down the hole of this Tomoe river paper. And that is really what led me to trying out the cousin, because I had heard that the pages are so thin that you can fit more pages in a book, and it was fountain pen friendly. So it seemed like a perfect combination of getting the feel of like the thin paper and that satisfaction of having like a full book full of your words. But it was also going to be something that I could use with my different fountain pens. So overall, I think that as great as this paper was for being fountain pen friendly and nice and sturdy, if you like a thicker paper, I've seen other people use watercolor on this and different types of markers, and that's wonderful. That's not what I need a diary for. And so the main thing that I needed it to be was fountain pen friendly, and I really wanted the line sizing to be on the smaller side. And so in terms of dislikes, I think I mentioned this already. I've realized over time that I prefer thinner paper because it only fit 192 pages. I just went through it really quickly, and I guess because it's slimmer, it was a quicker notebook to get through. It retailed for $30 Canadian, which I think is comparable to the price of a book like this, but considering that this one has so many more pages, and I guess because the pages are thinner, it doesn't end up feeling that much thicker in your hand. I felt like this was a little bit more on the expensive side, and I know that this was marketed as like luxury Japanese paper, and so I get it. I understand the price tag. It is a beautiful book. Like I love it. It is a beautiful book, but considering the use that I have for it, being pure writing, I would prefer a book that will last me longer than a few months. That's just my preference. And I guess the final thing is that it didn't actually lay flat without having a clip. And so as pretty as these are, sometimes if I'm out and about and I want to pull out my journal, it was a lot easier to pull this out, say at a cafe, and just have this one book and be able to write in it. And I have a similar experience with my Hobonichis, but this one definitely did not lay flat. I guess, again, I think that might be a traveler's notebook thing, maybe just based on the size. And so if I continue to journal using a notebook and my traveler's notebook cover, perhaps I won't get that nice open bit of it. But anyway, those are my thoughts for this Kunisawa notebook. It has served me very well. As I mentioned, it's been a really busy few months, and so I always need to have a book like this nearby where I can just open up the pages and write whatever's on my mind. All my notebooks have a very different purpose, and this one is just one of the key players in my mental health. And so now that this is done, I'm going to have to think about I'm looking into another book that I can move into. I have a couple of options in mind that I will talk about in another video. But whatever I move into next, I would really ideally like to have something that will last longer. So I do think that I have my notebook chosen, just because I don't really want to spend more money when I do have some empty notebooks that I can use. But if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. I'm always open to learning about new notebooks, and now that I know a little bit more about my preferences than I did before, I'd love to hear what has worked for you and what you think might work for me. It feels a little premature to be saying goodbye, but it is a wonderful book, and if you are into the standard size, if you're into grids, and if you're into thicker paper like the Midori paper, then you might really enjoy this notebook. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer you. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.